Hi, my name is Mike, and in this video, I'll be showing you how to set up a Shopify store. And we'll be going from A to Z, step by step, everything that you need to know to build a successful Shopify store. So it doesn't matter what kind of Shopify store you're trying to build, whether you are dropshipping, whether you have a physical business you're bringing online, a fundraiser, whatever it might be, any Shopify store out there, I'm going to show you everything you need to know in this video to become a complete power user and a master of your own business. This is something that you could hire somebody and it would cost thousands of dollars, or you can watch this hour to hour and a half long video and understand it all yourself. So you can build it exactly how you want, and more importantly, you can update it in the future whenever you want to change anything about your website. There is a lot to talk about in this video. I recommend either following along step by step on your computer, or at the very least, taking out a notepad and taking notes as we go through this. Now, I will try to move at a consistent pace, but if you are a fast learner or if you want a little more time to go through this, you can change the playback controls on YouTube, just clicking on the little gear icon, and then either playing at 0.75x, 0.5x, or 1.5x, whatever suits your learning speed. With that being said, I'm going to head over to my laptop. We're going to get started on Shopify. If you already have a Shopify store, that's great. If you don't already have one, you can go through our link down below. It is an affiliate link, and it helps us to make content like this for free for everybody. So if you go through that link at absolutely no extra cost to you, we will get a small commission. And like I said, it helps the channel. Let's get started by going to santrelmedia.com/Shopify. Or, like I said, you can copy and paste that link in the description, or just click on it and open it in a new tab. Now, that'll bring you to a page that looks something like this. Don't worry if anything changes on here. Somewhere you should see a little text field that says enter your email address. So I'm going to enter my email address and hit enter. That'll bring you to a series of questions. Feel free to answer these if you would like. I'm going to skip all of them. The truth is, no matter what your answers are, it's not going to change anything for the rest of this video. The only difference is going to really just be your dashboard. So I'm going to skip them all. I'm going to click on next. And from here, I'm going to select sign up with email. If you have a preference, you could sign in with Apple or Google. I'm going to use email right here and create a password. Now I'm going to click create Shopify account, and that'll take a couple minutes just to kind of configure our account. Now we have our Shopify dashboard. You're able to get started for just $1 up on the top. You can see right there. We also have a free trial for the next 3 days. But in order to do what we're going to do in this video, for example, get a domain and actually make some sample orders, I think it's important to go and select a plan right away. So no limitations throughout the video. There are 3 different plans available. 4, but I'm not counting the 4th one there. All of them are $1 right now, but don't be fooled by that. You can see after the first month, a pretty sizable difference in the pricing. $29 for the basic plan, $79 for the Shopify plan, and $299 for the advanced plan. So a pretty wide spread there. I did make a tool to help you decide which one is the best for you purely based on costs. Really the biggest difference in my opinion is going to be the credit card processing rate. So 2.9% plus 30 cents at the base rate, you're saving 0.2% and then another 0.2%. And if you're selling larger volumes, like for example, if you're migrating to Shopify, or if you just really anticipate right off the bat you have a large audience and you're going to sell a lot, it may be worth it to just move right to the advanced or the Shopify one. Additionally, if you have larger teams, for example, 5 additional staff accounts or 15, and some additional perks over here as well. So I think most people are going to be best off just with the basic plan. I think that makes the most sense for a lot of people getting started. Now, you can actually save $120 billing yearly if that's something that you can afford and you know you're going to have this store for a year. Great. I would recommend doing that. Because this is a tutorial, I'm going to just go with the monthly. I'm going to enter my credit card information and I'm going to click on subscribe. Additionally, congratulations on taking the first step and clicking on this video. Shopify really is the #1 e-commerce website builder on the market right now. All the biggest brands out there are choosing to use Shopify. And I'm not just talking about dropshippers or small local businesses. While it's great to start with them, the beauty of Shopify is that it scales indefinitely. Even the largest businesses out there that are selling their own products online, many of them are using Shopify. You look at Kim Kardashian's brand Skims uses Shopify. We have Lindt, Allbirds, Heinz, Gymshark, Kylie Cosmetics, The Economist, Tesla, BBC. So many different ones out there are selling things on Shopify because it is such a reliable and powerful platform with tons of integrations. And now we can enter some fundamental business details. I'm going to enter the name of my store. So for the purposes of this video, let's roll with the example of Santrel Surf Shop. Santrel Surf Shop, admin name, Mike O'Brien, and the address, and we can save business address. All right, and now we're back on the Shopify dashboard. So this is where we can really get things going. If we go down on the left side to online store, you see we have a couple different sales channels. Online store is going to be your website. And I promise we're going to work through everything on the left side, but I want to start off by just choosing the theme, kind of getting some progress here to feel proud of and really get some accomplishments right off the bat. So if we click on add theme down here, we can go and say visit theme store. And there are a lot of themes. Some of them are paid, but I usually recommend going with the free ones, at least when you're getting started. It seems to be a pretty good starting point for most businesses out there. So if we click on explore themes, you'll see we can sort by the free ones. Don't be disappointed that there's only 13, because there are 13 really good ones. I've made some great websites with just these 13 here, but if you want to do a paid one, you can search all those as well. So I'm going to leave it with the free ones. You can sort by different niches, and that may be helpful, but I like to just kind of browse through. There's only 13. Just look at them and see which one makes the most sense for your business. You can change the colors, you can change the font, you can change everything about it. This is just a nice starting point for your website. So let's just say I'm interested in the refresh one. I can click on that and it'll tell me a little bit more about this theme. You'll learn about some of the benefits of it, what it's able to do, what, FAQ pages, things like that. And you can visit a demo store as well. So this is a demo store with it. You can click through it. I think this looks pretty good. I'm going to put like some waves in the background, maybe something about surfing right there. I can have a bunch of different products. I can have some collections down here. I'm going to go with this one. So I'm going to click on try theme on the top right. Now, that's going to be adding this to our online store, but this is the number one thing I see that people miss this. They wonder why this new theme is not being used on their website, and that is because they did not publish the theme. So it's going to take a second while it's actually adding the theme, and in the meantime, we can go and remove the password. For a new website like this, if we're not transferring the domain, I think it's fine to remove the password right away. So I'm going to remove the password, so that we're able to access the store, and all the integrations and everything are all going to work just fine. Scrolling down, that's still, okay, there we go. It just worked right now. So I'm going to click on publish, and that will swap out the two themes, and this will be our new primary theme, the new theme that's being shown on all mobile and desktop sites for our website. That's great. If you click on the three dots right here, you can click on view, and you might be surprised that it doesn't look exactly like you saw before. We don't have soaps, we don't have the refresh thing, but it is showing us some dummy stuff right here, dummy products, just for the overall layout of our store. So that is a great start. If we close out of this and go back to the Shopify dashboard, we now have a website that is almost ready to be edited, but we want to add some products and a couple other things first. Now, let's go down to products, and we want to add our first product. If you have products from WooCommerce or Wix or Squarespace or somewhere else, you can import them right here. But for your first products, I'm going to click on add product. I'm going to name this one. Let's just say my first one is going to be a wooden surfboard. Wooden surfboard, I'm going to say 8 feet, and I'm going to say tri-fin, and we'll just leave it like that for now. All right, so wooden surfboard, 8-foot tri-fin. Then the description, I'm just going to paste this right here, a little description I have made, and we can actually customize a lot about the description. So not only like obviously what you write, but you can change if you want to generate text. Really nice that that feature is built into Shopify. You can also make things italic, you can underline, and you can add links as well. So if you mention something in here and you want to maybe cross-sell, so like maybe you mention a compatible leash, for example, you could highlight it and you can click on the little link and you can link to another page either in the same window or in a new window if you wanted to do that. I think that's a really cool feature you can add. You can also add images in here. I recommend not doing that. I think most images are probably going to show up better in media so they can kind of cycle through them. But if we click on upload new, we can choose the images for this one. So I said wooden surfboard. Let's just choose some photos just to kind of populate this right here. I'm going to go with maybe these photos right here, and you'll see they're all going to show up. One of them is going to be larger than the rest. That is your primary photo, the first one that shows up when somebody visits this page and looks at your product. But if you wanted to rearrange them, the way you would do that is by clicking on these 6 dots and just dragging them. So this is now the primary photo, and then all of these, it goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I believe that's the order they show up. So if you wanted maybe this one to be second, you could drag this one right there and kind of move them around however you'd like. And then if you scroll down, we have the pricing. So if I say this is $849, we can have a compare at price. And so that would be kind of crossed out right next to this one, basically saying what competitors sell for compared to what we sell for. So maybe other people sell it for $899. You can choose if you want to charge tax on this product, depending on what you're selling and what region you're in. You can consult your legal advisor and figure out if you need to charge tax or not. Then the cost per item. This does not show up on your online store. This only shows up on the back end for you so that you can calculate how much profit you are making. So maybe these surfboards cost me, maybe I'm making them myself, and maybe it's like $357 to make, with a 58% profit margin, $492 profit. And so now that's just extra information that is going to be tracked in your analytics, your finances over on Shopify here. Then we have the stock keeping unit. So I like to start at 10,001. You can track quantity on here, which I think is really beneficial. So let's just say we have 200 available right now. And if this doesn't show up the first time you make the product, if you save the product and then come back to the product editing page, and I'll show you that in a second, you can actually edit the available, the on hand, committed, and unavailable. So for example, if I have some of these surfboards and maybe they're like damaged, or maybe quality control, I have to, maybe 2 of them are damaged that just didn't, in inventory, 2 of them were damaged. So we'll say save. Now we have 202 on hand, but only 200 available. These are the ones that are in our inventory right now. Then, because this is a physical product, I can add the weight. I believe I said this was 15 pounds up in the description, 15 pounds. So I'm going to say 15 pounds. And then we can add some variants. Now, variants, depending on the product, you could really do all types of different things. Size is going to be probably the most common one for shirts and stuff like that. So maybe I have an 8-foot board. I have an 8.5-foot board. I have a 9-foot board, and maybe I'm selling a 10-foot board as well. And you can actually make different prices for all of these. I'll show you that in just a second. Let's add another option, and let's just say maybe color. I want to show you the full permutation here. So if I say maybe walnut and maybe mahogany. Mahogany, we can say done. We'll say done for both of those. And now our permutation is going to show up down here. If you click on expand all, these are all the variants we have. So we have an 8-foot variant in walnut and in mahogany. We have 8.5 in walnut and mahogany. And so each of them will by default have their own SKU. It counts chronologically. So 10,001, 10,002, 10,003, as you can see underneath them right there. And we can change the available inventory for all of them. So maybe we have 30 mahogany available for each size, maybe 14 for that size. And then down here, maybe we have, let's just say like 72 or 70. I'm just adding some numbers in here so we have some available. And then you can actually change the price on these as well. So if we want, maybe the 10-foot boards are all going to be a little bit more expensive because it's a larger board. It's more material. So maybe these are $949, $949. And so you can see within that variant, these are both at increased in price. Now I recommend adding an image for every single one of these. So when somebody selects their size or their variants, right, their size, their color, they get an image that shows what they're actually going to be getting. And you can do that on the left side right here by clicking on these. So 8-foot variant, maybe I'm going to select this one right here. And I can keep that for walnut, but maybe the mahogany one is a little bit darker. Maybe I can say, let's just upload another image. I don't have another good one that is mahogany colored, but let's just go with this board right here just to kind of demonstrate the different image we're going to be working with here. So let's select that. We'll say done, and then you'll see in just a second that should refresh, and now we have 2 different colors for the surfboards. Now, I'm going to kind of fill those out on my own time, but scrolling down just for the purposes of keeping this video moving, you can see right here, this is how it shows up on Google. And this is really important. So when somebody finds your product on Google, which hopefully happens quite often, this is what they're going to see. And you can customize this, which not only helps your click-through rate, people when they see it are more likely to click through if you optimize this, but also you're more likely in turn to show up in Google searches more once you optimize this title. So this right here, maybe you want to target a location. So you could say South Florida surfboards. Or maybe you want to have your brand. So maybe Santrel Surf Shop. Or maybe you could target something else entirely. But that's just kind of how you'd go about changing the blue part, the title, in the Google search results. Then the description down here, by default, is pulling from your description all the way up here. You want to keep this probably between 200 and 300 characters. If you have a long description, this might be like 900 characters, a couple thousand characters. So just make sure you trim that down and read it over and make sure that what's showing up here is something that is appealing to people. They can read it and say, all right, I pretty much know what I'm getting here, and they're more likely to click on your link. Then we have the URL handle. So this is going to be yourdomain.com/products/ and then the URL slug right here. So they call it a URL handle, URL slug, depending on what platform you're using. We can customize this. And so I'm just going to say wooden surfboard. Keep it simple, easier to remember, and I think that's something that people might like. So we'll say save product. Now I'm going to populate a couple more products on here. Great, now I have 5 products on here. If we ever wanted to go back and edit any of those, we can just click on it right here, scroll down, and maybe, for example, I want to start selling this internationally, right? We can go down to add customs information, and add your HS code. I've actually never sold internationally, but you can learn more about HS codes through that link right there. We can also add, maybe like this one doesn't have a weight, so it's going to be harder to estimate shipping. Maybe I want to add in a weight and say this one is like maybe 18 pounds, something like that. Now we can save it. So that's how you can go about editing your products. But products are really only a portion of managing what you're selling on your store. The next thing is actually going to be collections. So on your website, maybe you'll have a group of products that are kind of shown together in nice one little window. They're frequently shopped together. They're all in the same category. And that is going to be a collection. So by default, Shopify only makes one collection and they call it homepage. It basically is just all of your products right now. Let's create a new collection. And there's 2 ways we can do this: manually right here, or an automated collection. Now, an automated collection is really cool. I'll show you that in just a second, but let's start off with a manual collection. And let's call this one surfboards. Surfboards is going to be our first collections. So maybe this right here. This is a manual collection, and we can add an image on this as well. So maybe the surfboard collection is going to look like this right here. We'll say open. Now we have that image there, and I can say save. Now, once we save it, it'll allow us to then add which ones are in there. You can see right here, we can browse or we can search products individually. We only have 5 products, so I'm just gonna search them, or I'm just gonna browse them, and we can add premium surfboard and the wooden one. I'm gonna say add, and there we go. We have our first collection made. Very easy to do. If we click on collections again, we can create our second collection, or our third one really, but second one that we are creating. And let's just say this one is going to be products under $100. And I'm going to add a little description here. And this one, let's say, is going to be an automated collection. An automated collection, you can choose the conditions, the criteria. And this could be, since we're doing under $100, we can say everything that is price. So price is less than $100. $100. Now we can add another condition if you wanted to, and you can do all types of things here. You could say product title. So maybe if all of your accessories for your surfboard products say accessory in them, then we could say contains, and we could say accessory. We could say accessory. And so that's another thing that could be added in right here. Now, I don't need that one. I'm going to delete that. And another little kind of subtle logic right here is the all or any condition. So all means it has to meet every single one of these in order to be in there. So it's going to be a more complex filtering system. Whereas any conditions is basically like or. It can match this or it could match that. So it's going to be a broadening aspect. It's going to be a broadening feature for what is included in this collection. So I think that's really useful to kind of keep in mind. Like I said, you can look at product title, product type, product vendor, category, tags. Tags is an easy way when you're making the products to just quickly add them into multiple collections. As long as you have those tags automated. You can have inventory, so you could say, hey, maybe things that are in stock, maybe it would be a collection you have, or things that are overstocked, maybe another collection that are just, you're putting things on sale that are over a certain stock. So that's kind of a quick little summary of how that works. Let's add an image for this collection. And this one, I'm going to say right here, let's go. Actually, I think this one was under $100. So it would make more sense to use, I just go with any image, maybe this one right here. We'll go with that image. There we go. And I'm going to save this. And now we have our collections. Okay, so products, collections, inventory is going to be where you can look at, just kind of at a quick glance, what you have, what's in stock, and what maybe you have to purchase from suppliers or just start making more of. And in addition, you can customize or you can edit everything in here. So as you get new shipments in, you can go and change the inventory levels, you can update the quantities. And interestingly, if you have multiple locations, many stores won't, but if you do, you can go down to transfers. So if you have inventory at one location and you're moving it to another, just go down to click transfers right here, add a location, and you can move things between your locations. Purchase orders, this is something that allows you to make purchase orders so you can track your inventory from suppliers. If you click create, it kind of walks you through it. I think it's really nice that you have this. And then of course we have gift cards down here. So let's leave page. I'm not making a purchase order right now, but gift cards are not only a great way to increase your revenue, but also hopefully decrease your returns. So if somebody doesn't know what to get, maybe their son for his birthday, and they want to, like, they know he likes surfing, they don't want to just guess and buy some surfing accessories and then maybe they have to return them later. A gift card is a really common gift. So let's say add a gift card, or let's say add a gift card product. Yes. So this is going to be, Santrel Surf Shop gift card, Santrel Surf Shop gift card. So we'll add some text. We can add an image. I just have a little gift card image right here just to kind of indicate clearly what it is. And we can choose how much, what the denominations are going to be. So $10 I think is too low for this store. 25 is pretty low as well. Most things on this store are a little bit more expensive. So maybe 50, 100, maybe we have a 75, and maybe we have a 500 as well. And let's just add 1,000 just in case somebody's buying, I don't know, like a wedding gift, or just they want to buy a surfboard for somebody, but they're not going to choose the individual board, for example. So let's save this. We're going to save gift card product. And again, you can choose if that is going to be in any kind of like collections or anything like that. I'm just going to leave it as its own standalone product, not in the collections. So now we have our products. That's great. We're basically ready to start building out this store and choosing what everything looks like. But there are a couple little housekeeping items I like to take care of right now once we have the products, but before we go and start designing the store, and that is getting a domain and changing the name of the store. So if we go down to settings, this is going to say My Store. We click on a little pencil icon here, and we can change the name of the store to Santrel Surf Shop, or obviously whatever your store name is. And if you scroll down here, you'll see we can change the time zone, and you can change the order ID as well. So this is going to be the automated email that they receive after they place their order. It's going to say your order ID is number 1002 or whatever. And you can choose how that's numbered, how that's actually structured right here, if you have a prefix and a suffix. So maybe instead of that, it could be surf dash. And so that's how you know. And we could say dash A1. Maybe that's just how you manage them or something like that. And so obviously the middle is going to be just a counter, an index for what order it is. And you can choose the prefix and the suffix. I like the prefix just being a number. Very simple, very straightforward. And for a lot of smaller shops, that's going to be just fine. Now, if we go down here on the left side to domains, this is where we can choose our domain. So a good domain price, in my opinion, it depends on how important it is to you. If you really need to have a specific name and you plan on buying it from somebody else for thousands of dollars, then disregard this next statement. But for many other people, I think a good domain price is between $15 and $30 per year. I think that's a pretty common price. So I usually just buy it through Shopify. Typically, it ends up being maybe $3 or $4 per year more expensive. So you could actually save some more money if you wanted to go through maybe Namecheap, for example, or GoDaddy or Squarespace domains. Squarespace is usually more expensive, but Namecheap and GoDaddy might save you a couple dollars per year. The downside is that you will have to connect that. You have to port that over. You have to point it at this website, which is not necessarily hard, but it is a couple extra steps that can be confusing for beginners. And secondly, you do have two different methods of paying them, right? You have your Shopify subscription and you have your like GoDaddy subscription, for example. And so if you get a new credit card or your card expires in 4 years, maybe you remember to update it for Shopify, but maybe you forget for GoDaddy, and then maybe you lose your domain. So that's why for me, the convenience and just not having two different invoices, to me, is just worth it to spend a couple extra dollars per year. So let's click on Buy New Domain. So if we click on Buy New Domain, we can type it in. I'm going to look for Santrel Surf Shop. It is available. It's $15 per year. And just to kind of search, if we go to like Namecheap, namecheap.com, and I look up Santrel Surf Shop.com, so it's about $11, right? So you're looking at a $4 difference right there. Not significant enough that I'm going to go through that effort. I'm just going to go and buy this directly through Shopify. So I'm going to just click on purchase. I'm going to enter my details, and then it'll bring me back to this page right here. So what you have to do now, as you can see on the top, is you have to verify your email. If you go over to your inbox, you should have an email that gives you a link that allows you to verify your email address. Now, I actually remembered one other thing that I didn't mention. Another benefit of getting this through Shopify as opposed to some third-party sellers is that this does include what's called Whois privacy. So Whois is a database that includes like basically every domain out there. And so if you don't want your personal name and phone number and obviously address shared out there with everybody in the world, very searchable, then it might be a good idea to get Whois privacy, which is included for free with the Shopify domains here. Great. So we now have our domain. Once you confirm, that'll turn green. It'll all be set up and your website will be going through that. So we will come back to settings a little bit later in the video, but I want to start building this out now. I really want to start customizing this website. If we go down here, you probably remember where we went before. We go to online store, and then you'll see you have your store right here. This time we're going to click on customize. That'll bring us into the Shopify editor. Now this may look intimidating, but I promise I'll show you what everything is and what's going on here. And it's really laid out in a very logical way, in my opinion. So on the right side, this is your website. This is what your website looks like. It's not interactive right now because you're an editor right now, but this is going to be basically what it looks like to viewers. On the top right, you can change what device they're viewing it with. So if right now here, this is a desktop view. So if someone's on their laptop or desktop, it would look like this. If they're on their phone, which probably more than half of people are going to be on their phone going to your website, this is what it would look like to them. And then over here, you can just see full screen. Maybe that's easier for whatever device you're using right now. So I'm going to click on desktop. And from here, you'll see that as you hover over things, a blue dotted outline surrounds them. And Shopify uses what's called a section layout. So this entire picture right here with this blue dotted outline, this is one section. This is a section, that's your header on the top with the dark blue background. This kind of a grayish background, that is another section. This is a section down here, and then this is your footer on the very bottom. Those two kind of blend together. But each section has different elements in it. So you can add new sections, and Shopify allows you to add sections that are mostly pre-built. You really don't have to add much. So maybe if I wanted a testimonial section to go right here between these two sections, I can hover there, click on add section, and as you can see, a little window appears with a lot of options. And Shopify kind of names these in a logical way. So a collage is going to be just a whole bunch of different pieces of media. Maybe it's like a product, an image, a collection, a link. You can have all of that in one thing right there. An image banner, they show you on the right side exactly what these are, but we want to have testimonials. So testimonials would probably be, let's see, what's a good one for testimonials? So multi-column is a pretty good one for testimonials. If we just click on that, it'll be added right there. Now, each one, you can customize anything on this entire website just by clicking on it. So if you click on it, on the left side, it allows you to edit the contents of that item. So we can add an image. So maybe in testimonials, we want to have like the image of somebody up on the top. So maybe this person right here is a professional surfer. And we could say Ricky Bobby, pro surfer, and it's like, I love Santrel Surf Shop. So you can add that over on the left side. And once again, we do still have those same tools. So if you wanted to add anything in bold, or we wanted the entire thing to be italic because it's a quote, we can do that. And you can also add links as well. So when he says like their stuff, we can have their stuff, and maybe that's going to link to one of our products. We can do that right there. So that's kind of just a quick little idea. You can also, instead of linking in there, you can actually have a button below there. So maybe we want a link that is going to link to a certain product or a certain collection. Let's just link to this right here. And the link label is going to be Ricky Surfboard. So there you go. You have a little button right there, and it kind of has a little nice animation when somebody hovers over it that encourages them and shows them that, hey, something's going to happen if you click this. It's a button. It's going to redirect you over to Ricky Surfboard. I kind of like that. So that's basically the high level structure of how Shopify's editor works. Now, I don't want to get too granular yet. Let's talk a little bit more about what this left side actually is. So if you click on sections, that'll bring you back to this layout right here. And as you can see on the right side, remember I said we have sections and we have items within each section, elements within the sections. That's laid out in a hierarchy view on the left side here, and it's collapsible as well. So the first section we have, as you can see, is called slideshow. So if we collapse that, we don't have to worry about editing anything in the slideshow. It doesn't really make sense with just a couple sections here, but with a more complex website, collapsing does save you, like it really is a game changer. I really appreciate that. But if we wanted to, let's collapse each of these, if we wanted to rearrange our website, maybe we want to have this multi-column below the featured products. We can click on that and drag it below on the left side, just clicking on the little 6-dot array, and that'll rearrange everything on the website. So it's very, in my opinion, a very convenient and easy way to move things. In addition, if you wanted to add sections and you didn't want to hover, or for some reason it was just tough to add them between sections, sometimes it doesn't always pop up where you want it to, you can do that on the left side. So again, click on sections, click on the little back, so we're up at the highest level here, and then between these two sections here, we can hover, add a section, and we can add everything right here. So maybe I'm going to add a featured collection. Let's add a featured collection, even though we have a featured collection right above, but let's add another one. And we're gonna select a collection. So select the collection, and this could be surfboards. This could be our surfboard products. Now we can name the collection as well. So let's select this. We're gonna name this Our Finest Premium Surfboards. We can choose the heading size, either small, medium, or large. I'm going to go with medium right here. We can have a description right here. So maybe that's going to be something about what this collection is. Maybe it's like a story. People relate very well to stories. And we can choose some other things like the description style. Maybe it's going to be written as a subtitle. Maybe it's all caps. Maybe it's body. I'm going to leave it at body right there. And we can choose how many products are going to be shown maximum. I could say maximum 2 products. Don't show any more than 2 products right here, just keeping it simple. So if we add more products in the future, they don't auto-populate on the right side. Number of columns on desktop, let's just make it 2 columns. Let's make it 3 columns. I think that looks pretty good. Makes the everything a little bit larger right there. I accidentally hit back. Let's stay. And if we look at the view all style, we can make that a solid button. That doesn't really make sense here because we only have 2, so there's no button that's going to be showing up. And of course, the color scheme is what we can choose. Now, the color scheme is probably the next thing you want to add before you start populating a lot on your website. We have 5 different schemes here, and you can choose what those 5 schemes actually are if on the top left you click on theme settings. So theme settings allows us to change everything about this website. First of all, the colors, as I mentioned, if we click on colors, we have 5 different color schemes. Originally I said 6 because you can have a 6th one here. It's very easy to add. And so let's just say scheme 1, I think that looks fine, but if we click on that, we can change the background color, just clicking on that. And you can either click and drag this to whatever looks best to you, or what I would recommend doing is you either could use a color palette based on your logo. And so if you just go to, like on Google, HTML color identifier, and just choose any one of these. Usually what you can do is you can upload an image here. So if you upload, let's just say maybe like your logo is, let's say maybe this is your logo on like this surfboard, you can match this color exactly. So you can find out what the color code is for that. So you can highlight that and copy it. And then when you're customizing your theme over here, you can go and like paste that. Now I'm not going to do it right here because the red would look kind of bad there, but maybe scheme 5, maybe we want that red to match exactly. So we can highlight it and paste, and that is the red from our logo. So let's click on back. That's how you can customize all of your color schemes. Like I said, it's something that I recommend doing early on in your editing process. We can change the typography. I chose this theme because I really personally like the font. I think it fits very well here. But if you wanted to change, you can change the font right here. And there's a fairly large collection of fonts you can choose from. I'm going to close out of that and go back to our theme. So collapse typography. We can choose other things like animations. As you scroll, there are little animations, how it reveals as you scroll. I personally like that. It also should help your load speed a little bit as well. But you can change like buttons, variant pills, inputs, product cards, everything in here. I recommend, spend a good 30 minutes kind of going through and figuring out what is going to be the best for you, what really looks like your store on this website. Then we have app embeds. I'm not going to really do that right now, but if we go back to sections, click on back, we can start customizing a little bit more about this. So maybe on the very top, this right here, remember I said click on it and we can edit this section. I'm going to select an image, and let's just say the first image is going to be this image right here. Obviously it's very noisy. There's a lot going on there. If we click on edit, we can choose the focal point first of all. So we can choose maybe focal points there, maybe it's over there. Let's just say this is the focal point. We're going to save that. There we go. Now, this doesn't look good. Don't get me wrong. We're going to change a lot about this. So we can add the heading right now. So Santrel Surf Shop. Maybe we could say Santrel Surf Shop. We could say trusted. And the button could say shop all. We could say shop surfboards, shop boards. And it can link to whatever we want. Let's link to a collection. Remember, we made a collection for the surfboards. So let's link to the surfboards. We can add an outline on the button if we want it to kind of just be a little more subtle, but I think it looks better like that. And we can choose the desktop position. So middle left is where that is. So middle vertically, and then left side is how it's justified. I want it to be middle right. I think that would look better over there so we can kind of see this person. But you can kind of customize, kind of play around with it, find a good image, and move it to whatever makes the most sense on your website. We can show container on desktop or not. I like that, so you can kind of get some differentiation from the background. And we can choose the image overlay. This is really cool because the image right now is very noisy. And if you want to add an overlay and kind of make it a little bit less opaque or more opaque, you can do that right now. So if you increase opacity, it's going to be a little darker. So I think that looks a little bit better for the image overlay. So maybe something like right around there would be sufficient. Maybe that could be good. Again, I'm not really fond of this image. Let's try some different ones. Let's go and check out maybe. So if we say change, select from library, maybe this one would be better. We'll say done. So add this image in there. Not a super high resolution image, but let's go and move this over to the left side. So remember how we did that? We could choose middle left right there. And so that's how you can kind of move that image around and make that look better. This isn't a good one. I just found this on Google, just using that for now. Obviously super low resolution, so not a good looking image, but that's going to be how you can go about doing that. If we click on back, the first one is actually a slideshow. So this is actually cycling through different photos. If we wanted to add another image on here, let's click on add slide. And this could, again, be something else. Maybe we could have like our fall sale. We could have this right here. We can add that image. And I think this one looks significantly better. Maybe we want the top right. Top right would be a good spot for this. Kind of showing up, kind of, I don't know. And then here, maybe I don't want to show container. No container. And we could say shop our premium. And then this could link to collections. This could link to surfboards. Yeah, so maybe something like that would look good. Now, if we click on back, once again, you kind of get the idea by now of how Shopify works. You can click and drag with the 6 dots, one thing above the other. So that's going to make this slide first. I think that looks a little bit better than the second slide. Like I said, the kind of a low resolution image, but just kind of, giving you a good idea of how that works. Great. So I don't want to be too redundant in going over how to kind of use this builder. I think it's fairly intuitive by now. If you got this far and followed along with what I was showing you, hopefully you have a pretty good idea of how this works. But kind of one last section I want to add just to kind of iron things out and top it off. So if we say add section, let's just say we want to add a section that is going to be collapsible content. Maybe this is a frequently asked questions section. I can click on that and it's going to be added to the bottom. Remember, I clicked on the bottom right there. We can change this to frequently asked questions. And this is collapsible content, frequently asked questions. We could choose the size of everything, no container on this one, choose the color scheme. And again, if you want this to be like really crazy red or something, you can do that. I'm going to stick with scheme. Maybe scheme 3 would look good right here. That kind of blends in with the bottom. Scheme 2 it is. Scheme 2 is what I'll be using right here. So we can add a section on the top of this, or we can add an image on the top of this one rather. Let's add this image right here. Add this image on the right side. I think that's kind of a cool little thing to add there. And then if we click on back, you'll be able to customize everything below that. All these collapsible rows are basically treated as their own elements on Shopify. So if we click on that, the first one, we could just say, will these... And you can choose if you want it to be a check mark or a clipboard or like literally anything you want, dairy free if you wanted it to be like that. So really any kind of icon you want on the left side, you can choose right here. And there's really a lot of options here. Choose whatever makes sense for your brand. I'm just gonna go with, I'll go with the question mark. Question mark might make sense here. And we can add the answer to our question. So we could say our boards last many years. We can say learn more about our care instructions here, and we're going to make another page that is how to care for things. We'll add that a little bit later. So I'm going to say save. I think you guys get the idea of how to actually customize the content on your website. Now let's click on exit. So from here, we can click on the 3 dots, go to view, and see what the website actually looks like. And I recommend viewing this on as many different devices as possible. If you can find like your cousin's iPad, check it out on there. Somebody's really large gaming monitor, somebody else's tiny little Chromebook. Just kind of get an idea of how your website looks on every available device out there, and kind of just go through the whole experience. Like maybe you click on this, it brings you to your collection. Maybe we want to check out this product. You can click on that. And you can see, like I showed you before, it shows you not only the new product, it says sale right there. That's your compare at price. And you can choose if you want to have the 8-foot. Remember, I think we should have 2 different images here. So 8-foot walnut. And if we click on mahogany, sure enough, the image should be changing. There we go. We have the next image. And then down here, you can see they can look at all the other images of these surfboards, the ones that you uploaded, check out some other images here. And so that kind of just helps with the checkout process. It's good if your images are all the same aspect ratio. I chose some kind of random ones here, but a good aspect ratio, a little bit taller, a little bit thinner, that'll show up nicer right here. Scrolling down, this is the nice description we wrote about the product. There's also a cool little share button on the bottom, and you may also like. So these are other products in the same collection. Shopify is automatically cross-selling those products. So when somebody decides they like it, they can add it to the cart, or they can buy with PayPal right away. But if they go to checkout, we actually don't have our payments set up just yet. So I'm going to close out of our website here, go back to Shopify, and navigate down to settings. And from settings, I want to click on payments. Now, there are a lot of ways you can accept payments on Shopify. The first one is Shopify Payments, and that's going to be the majority of the payments you receive. Somebody just types in their credit card, they use Google Pay, Apple Pay, something like that. If we click on Complete Account Setup, we can submit our details, and from here, you can decide if you are a sole proprietor. Maybe in the beginning, you perhaps are just operating as an individual. You don't even have a business license yet. That's how many people do start. You could also maybe select an LLC. And if you, for example, are just starting a store right now and you want to make an LLC, we do actually have several videos on how to make an LLC. It depends on where you live, but in general, there are some really nice tools that make it quite easy to do that. So I'm going to enter some business details. You can enter your EIN, your employer identification number, or if you're an individual, your SSN would be the one you add there. You can add your street address, your personal details. And then one thing that I highly, highly recommend is down here, your statement descriptor. This is going to be how this appears on somebody's credit card statement, on their bank statement, and specifically with credit cards. If you leave it like this, many people are going to be looking at their credit card statement at the end of the month. Maybe they see a $35 charge from SP28F, and like they're not going to know what that is, and they're far more likely to dispute the charge, which is why I usually like to make it as clear as possible. So Santrel Surf, we can just, or Santrel Surf, we'll make it one word like that. That way anybody can see that Santrel Surf. They can look in their email and search for Santrel Surf, and they will be getting, they'll see obviously their receipt right there that they get emailed to them after their order. So I think that's really beneficial, something that I highly recommend everybody do. And then we can submit for verification, and you'll be set up like that. Now going back to settings, if we go down to payments again, the other thing I recommend doing is setting up PayPal. Some people maybe don't have Google Pay or Apple Pay set up on their phone, but maybe they do have PayPal, or maybe other people just don't trust giving out their credit card to a website. Maybe they're a little bit nervous about that, and PayPal can solve that problem for a lot of people and just make it a little bit easier for people to become customers. So I recommend setting up PayPal. It's also significantly easier to set up than Shopify Payments. You just enter your PayPal, like you sign into PayPal and it's connected, and it's really easy to do. We can also have manual payment methods if you really wanted to. So maybe if somebody's calling in by phone and you type it in, like that's definitely an option there. Or if they come into the store and they buy it in person, and you want to track it, and you don't have POS for some reason, you could do that all down here as well. Now going down some other settings on the left side, these are all really, really important here. I'm going to spend more time on some of them and kind of breeze through a couple others. So users and permissions. This is going to be if you have other staff. You will unfortunately need to upgrade your plan above the basic one. If you want to have, I think 5 staff members is the next plan up and 15 is the one above that. I'm just going to leave it as is. I don't have any other staff members right now. We can go down to payments as we just did. We can go to checkout. This is a good way to customize like what's required. For example, maybe if it's a B2B kind of selling thing, you can make it optional or even required for a company name to be added. You can make address line 2 optional. I highly recommend that. As far as full name goes, you could say require first and last name. Maybe I'll change that for the checkout right there. The email, you can say pre-selected right here. So by default, customers are selected and they have to opt out kind of by checking that box. That's something you could do. I don't really like that because it decreases your open rate anyway. If you're trying to capture as many emails as possible, go ahead and do that. But otherwise, you can always turn that off. You can also choose SMS and enable that if you want to have marketing options there as well. And if you want to have tipping, I mean, tipping has really gotten out of control lately. If you have tipping on your website, you can show tipping options right there with some different presets. I don't think that makes sense on a Surf website, so I'm going to disable that. And other things down here you can kind of check out as you go down. So let's say save. Say save on that. Continuing down, customers can make their own accounts. If we click on edit right there, show login link at the header of the online store at checkout. This could be like classic or new customer accounts. I'm going to go with new. That way they don't need a password. It just gets sent to their email. A little kind of easier in my opinion. I'm going to leave it like that. We can choose the branding. We could choose self-serve returns. So if you just really don't want to deal with returns and you just want to make it easier for people to automatically do that, you can turn this on. Do this with caution. This definitely could get out of control. Sometimes it's better to kind of have somebody, maybe you hire somebody to manage your returns. But hey, depending on what the product is, this could be something that you are doing right there. So let's save this on the top, click save, and continue down right here. So shipping and delivery. If you're doing something like drop shipping, for example, this is going to be managed by your supplier, and it doesn't really make sense for you to even bother filling this out. But for other products, if you want to sell maybe products you made or you're holding your own inventory, you can click on create new profile. So this could be maybe, fragile products is something that they recommend as one profile, one category, and any products that are within this would be labeled accordingly, and they would be, shipped according to whatever that price would be. Like the charge would be, the shipping cost would be associated with this profile. So this is going to be like USA, let's say surfboards. Surfboards are going to be kind of tricky to ship. They're obviously a lot larger. We can create a zone, and maybe we just say this is going to be USA or United States. Probably is how it's United States. We could search for United States. United States. We'll say done. We can add a rate. So we can say add rate. We could use a flat rate right now. So for surfboards, maybe it's like $89 to ship it, just how it is right now. Or you can add another rate and you could say, hey, maybe this is going to be an economy rate. It's going to be a little slower, and this is going to be like $59. So we give people the option of how they're going to ship it. We can also make some discounts. I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. So if you want to have free shipping over a certain threshold, or people get, free shipping on when they buy 2 products, something like that, I'll show you how to set that up. And that could be a really powerful tool as well. So I'm going to say save, and that's kind of just how you set up your shipping and delivery. That was a really quick crash course on it. Of course, you can set up some more automated things that are based on the weight. They can calculate how far away someone is and charge some more exact shipping. There's also some third-party fulfillment options out there. So just some different options you have within here. Going down to taxes and duties, I think this is something that a lot of people don't really talk about. Because obviously it depends on where you're located, what your local laws are. And I am by no means a legal advisor here. I'm not telling you financial or legal advice, just to be very, very clear. But let's just go and talk about what the tools are here that are available and how you would go about collecting that. So if we want to collect tax in regions where you are liable, let's click on that. So we can scroll down and we could say collect in a new region. So maybe the new region is going to be Pennsylvania. So we could say we're selling in Pennsylvania. So if you're collecting sales tax, you have to register with Pennsylvania Tax Authority. They give you a link right there. So you can go and get your sales ID. You enter that information right here. And then you say collect sales tax. And then automatically you will be collecting sales tax with all of your orders that are shipped or that are dealing within Pennsylvania. So that's how you'd go about doing that right there. Continuing down, we have locations, gift cards, markets. Not a whole lot to talk about there. We talked about domains. I'll come back to apps in just a second. Now, if you click on customer events, this is really powerful if you are dealing with any pixels. So that's something that if you're running like TikTok ads or Facebook ads and you wanted to add things in like that, you can add your pixels right here. Or the easier way to run those ads is just to get the app. Like I said, I'm going to talk about apps and sales channels in just a second. And most of those, like TikTok, for example, they embed the pixel on their own, and you don't have to worry about dealing with it right here. But this is where you'd go to access if you ever need an advertising pixel for like Google Ads or something like that, for example. Then going down to brand, this is something, again, I think a lot of people tend to skip over this in their tutorials. Brand is really cool because you can add your logo here. So you can add the logo for my brand. I'm going to add an image right here. So let's just add that as my logo right now. Say done. So now I have a logo. We can choose the colors. We can choose our primary color, our cover image, our slogan, a short description, and our social links as well. So if I just want to add my Instagram, for example, it'll be https://instagram.com/ and then whatever your username is. So for me, it's Mike O'Brien, and I can save that. So now we have our branding that'll be set up across our entire website. I think that's really nice. I think that's very convenient as well, that it's all set up in one location here. We can check out our notifications, custom data, languages, customer privacy, and of course policies. Now this is something I think is really cool and kind of unique to Shopify, is that they give you some templates to pre-populate a return policy, a privacy policy, and like, yes, ChatGPT does make it a lot easier now to make these if you wanted to, but having this template right here does just make it so much easier. Just to click this button, boom, you have return policy, you have privacy policy, you have terms of service, you have shipping policy. Actually, shipping, they don't give you a template right there. Contact information, this will populate based on your info. And obviously read through these, because when you say replace with template, you're declaring that this is your policy. So it's good to know what your own policy is. I recommend reading those before you click on save. So those are the settings. That's a lot right there. That's a lot to talk about. But let's go back to the homepage right here. Back on Shopify. We now have a website. We now have a lot of the backend stuff done. We now have some products. We've got categories or collections. If we go down to customers, let's kind of walk through this left side right here. As you have customers making purchases, if somebody emails you and says, hey, I bought this thing 3 months ago and it broke, it's out of warranty, or maybe it's still in warranty, can you help me right here? Well, you can always go back to customers and see what people purchased and manage their details, see their order history, group them into segments, and kind of also that's useful for retargeting, for marketing to people who purchased in the past. But all of your customers will be listed right here. You can make segments as well. Like I said, customers, for example, who made at least one purchase, you could say abandoned checkouts in the last 30 days. You can create these segments very easily. I don't recommend doing that just yet, because we will be getting an app. I know I keep promising apps, but we'll get there. And Klaviyo and Omnisend are two great apps that can really manage that for you in my opinion, a more powerful and efficient way. Content, you can see these are just like the files that we uploaded, the images, for example. Finances, you can see right here, you can open a Shopify balance account. You can actually get a little card that gives you like a couple % every year. I think it's like, sometimes they give you like 2% cash back or something like that for the balance that you're holding in Shopify before you cash that out to your own bank account. You can also set up two-factor authentication. And after you do all this, the checklist on the top, this is what you'll eventually be seeing. Just your earnings, your profit, your margin, your sales, your spending, and the payout account down on the bottom. So you can see all of that over in finances. Analytics, similarly, but slightly different, is going to show you more about your website and what people are doing when they go to your site. So how many people actually go and convert to a customer and actually make the sale, how many people are visiting your store, what the total sales are, and a lot of other things like that, what device they're using, as you can see right here. If we go down to marketing, this is really powerful because you can, again, see a lot more about kind of manage your campaigns here, see what's working well, what's converting, and actually being more efficient. And we do have some marketing apps down here. So if we click on view more marketing apps, now is probably a good time to check out Omnisend, like I mentioned before. There's also Klaviyo, two very popular ones, but I like to use Omnisend right there. This is not sponsored, of course, but if we click on install, if you wanted to go, I think we do have an affiliate link with this. I'm not sure, but I'll add that in the description in case you guys want to check that out through our link. But I'm going to click on install. So I'm going to close out of this previous tab. So now I'll make a password. And you can choose nothing down here, agree, and get started. Now we have to go and verify our email while we're setting up the account, and that'll bring us to a page that looks something like this. Now, other platforms do this as well, but what I really like, especially in OmniSend, is they really make it very hands-off. So it's not much of a learning curve. Everything's very automated, and in the very beginning, they ask for your colors, your fonts, your social links, and your logo. So let's just add social link, for example, Instagram, and we can add maybe TikTok as well, or just let's say TikTok or X. We can choose our colors. And again, this is what I was saying earlier, where it is really beneficial if you know the HTML color code for your colors. Like I said, if you just go to a new tab and look up HTML color identifier, you can find out what that is. Or here you can kind of just pick one that's close enough. I think it's best if you pick the actual right one. But I'm just going to say, for the purposes of keeping things quick, let's go with this for this video right here. That looks good. And I'm going to select a logo, upload from computer. And for the top, I'm just going to add this one for the top banner of our emails. So we'll select this one. We can click on select, and there we go. So that's going to show up on the top of a lot of our emails and our templates and our forms. So if you have two logos, maybe one being a little longer would look better up there. Let's save the brand assets. We can close out of this. We can close out of this as well, or just say continue to OmniSend. And here they give you 4 little steps right away. Now, depending on what you're doing with your online store, these may make sense or they may not. So if you want to collect subscribers, that's probably the first thing that you want to do. It makes a lot of sense. A welcome email would be another great idea. And these are all automations. So what I'm actually going to go with, one that I think everybody could benefit from, regardless of what kind of store you have, is an abandoned cart. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time diving into all the intricacies of OmniSend because there really is a lot you can do, but just giving you a high-level overview, let's launch workflows here. So abandoned cart is going to be down here. Additionally, you could access this from going up to automation on the top. If you go to automations, we can make one for an abandoned cart, product abandonment right there. But let's go through the dashboard here, okay? So let's click on launch workflows, and they're going to ask us some questions. So what is the discount for the third email? They're showing us what the workflow is going to be and kind of running you through this right here. Let's just say a customer goes to your checkout and they add something in the cart, they're ready to buy it, and then for whatever reason, they didn't actually buy it. Maybe somebody knocked on their door, maybe their computer died, who knows, but they didn't buy it. So you wait 1 hour and then you send them an email. And we're going to look at what this email is in a second. And then if they don't buy after that, you wait another 11 hours. And then you send them another one, and then you wait 12 more hours and you send them a final one. This is going to be a discount, the final push. And if they don't purchase it after that, then you just kind of let them go. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to say, how about 10% or 15%, depending on the margins of your product. I'm just going to say 15% is the discount we give them on the third email. You can also do SMS as well. I'm only going to use emails right now. I don't need SMS in this example, but it is something that OmniSend is able to do. And it'll say, there we go, it's now active. We can start your workflow. So that is, like, you might be surprised that like so little was done and it's already active, but that's kind of what I was saying about OmniSend. It really does things very quickly. So if we click on abandoned cart right here, that is our workflow. This is what I was showing you, but this is editable now. It's something that we are able to edit here. So on the top, you can see the trigger. So the trigger in the beginning is just if they go to the checkout. You can customize this as well if it's been inactive for 1 hour after they added it to cart, stuff like that. I'm going to say update. I like that. You can check the first email right here. So clicking on this email, this is the subject, the pre-header, the sender's name. You can customize plenty of this on here as well. And if you click on edit content, it'll show you what the email actually looks like. And so this is the email that will be sent. Down here, these are going to be populated from the cart of the person who actually went to your store. So we can test this out in a minute and see how well this works on our own by going to the store and just not actually buying. But you can see right here, if you click on it, it'll tell you product details will be filled from the cart. So that's really cool. It's going to be all dynamic, updating for every individual person, very customized. And so this right here, I don't really think we have to change this. I'm going to say finish editing, and I'm not going to change that one. You could change the wait time if you wanted to say, hey, maybe only do this on certain days of the week, right? Only maybe weekdays, maybe on the weekend. If it's a B2B style business, maybe it doesn't make sense. Or you could change, how long are you going to wait? Are you going to wait days, months, weeks, or minutes? 11 hours is what they kind of recommend here. And so in the beginning, it's a pretty good starting point. Going down, you can see you can customize the second email, you can customize the third email, the wait time between this one as well. And so if we just wanted to customize an email, I showed you where to do that right over here. But let's talk about exactly how to do that as well. It's a pretty intuitive editor, in my opinion. You basically just click on any one of these little sections. You can see this is all one section here with a couple elements inside of it. We have this is all one section down here with, several elements inside of it. The divider, the spacer, the little header here, some text, the discount. This right here is our coupon code. And again, something that OmniSend does here is they make a different coupon code for every individual one. That way it doesn't end up on some type of, Honey or Coupon Cabin, whatever, like one of those sites out there that just gives out coupons to everyone. This is going to be custom for every individual email, and it will only work once, so people cannot share this. This should be really good for your marketing. And if you wanted to change this, you could make it a generic one. It could be save 15 if you wanted to say it, just make it that. But this here, I think, is a really more impressive way of doing things. It's obviously more custom for every individual person. You can also change it here as well if you instead wanted to say, hey, percentages was the prompt that OmniSend wanted us to do. Maybe fixed amount makes more sense. So you could just, change that over here, and you could apply it to either all orders, or you can have an MOQ. You can have only certain collections get that discount. So if you say, $10 off, and you mean only for your premium suits or only for your surfboards or whatever, that's how you'd manage that right there. Down here, you can customize, the expiration. How long is this going to last? If you want to add any annotation right there, buttons, colors, padding. Padding is going to be the spacing all the way around it. So if I change this to like 30, you'll see we'll have a lot more space. 30, you see we get a lot more space on the top of that. So that's in essence how you can edit everything. So you click on it. On the right side, you have some technical aspects and then the layout of it as well. If you wanted to change anything specifically about individual elements. So if I wanted to just change this text right here, we could just basically double click on it and then just add some new text here. I'm going to delete it because, again, I don't really think OmniSend needs anything changed here. I think the workflow that it made honestly just looks really good. So I can click on update, or I can click cancel because I didn't actually change anything. And we can close out of this. We can say close, and that is our automation. It did make it twice. We have abandoned checkout and abandoned cart. So depending on where they end up, it's going to be one of those two workflows. They're essentially identical right now, but that's our first one. If we go back to dashboard, again, I think it's easiest just to kind of go through this right here. But if you wanted to, let me just kind of run through the categories across the top, because clicking on this is going to be essentially the same setup I just showed you for abandoned cart. So I don't want to waste your time. It's very intuitive, and I think you guys pretty much already have that. Let's go over to campaigns. This is going to be where you can send out a new email to your subscriber list. This would be essentially if you launch a new product, if you launch a new collection, a new sale, something like that, you can create a new email campaign. It's going to be very similar tools to what I just showed you, but here you're going to be making a one-time email that you send out. So we can choose the subject line. You could generate a subject line as well, and this could be based on new wooden surfboard. New wooden 9-foot surfboard launching today. Generate that, and they can kind of come up with a couple ideas right here. And we could say, hey, let's say don't miss out on the new 9-foot surfboard exclusive launch. Let's go with that. We're going to apply that. We can choose the sender's name, so Santrel Surf Shop, and then the email used for sending could just be a shared OmniSend email. We could use this, but you can see right now we're not able to because we didn't verify it with the custom domain. So that's something we will set up. I'm just going to go with the shared OmniSend email for now, just to kind of show how this works. The pre-header, this is really cool. So this is going to be when you get an email. So this is, I think, Gmail is what this is trying to look like right here. This is going to be the sender. This is going to be the subject line. And then here, everyone assumes this is just the first sentence in the email, but most marketing emails are actually, kind of predefined for what that is going to be. And that is going to be your pre-header right here. So this is a little light gray text, and it can really improve your click-through rate if you make something very, very captivating here. So this could be, maybe we'll just say something like that. We can name this campaign. So this could be new 9-foot board. The English is going to be the language. We could automatically post to Facebook if you wanted to. Kind of makes it a little bit easier, so you don't have to manage as much on social media. I'm going to say choose email template, and now they have a lot of really cool templates that we could kind of just go through this and say, well, right now I'm filming this on Memorial Day, so That's why a lot of these are popping up. So you will see, Valentine's Day ones, Easter ones, Memorial Day, depending on the time of year you're watching this or going through this, you probably will be seeing some different templates popping up. But you could also search them, or you could look on the left side and say, okay, this is going to be promoting a product. And so we can check out these and say, okay, maybe we could also filter by type. So you could say maybe automations. This could be fashion and lifestyle. It could be a celebration. It could be based on, for real estate or invoices. If you're sending invoices to people, there are templates for that. Special occasions, or just miscellaneous as well. So you could just have a seasonal thing or something like that. So I'm going to say this one right here is promoting a product, a new product that we're selling, being that 9-foot surfboard. And we could just go and choose any one of them. Maybe this one right here. We can use this template. And from here, you can customize everything pretty much just like I showed you in the editor. It is the same editor here. So you can click on this. We could replace the image with some image that we want, that we have on our own. So maybe this image right here, and we could say our new, so we could say that, and you can customize things down here as well. So these are just products that are based on individual images. You could alternatively go to product listing and select products from your store. You just want to make sure you are connected over to your Shopify, which we are, so that works. We can also customize the buttons down here to link to wherever we want. So right now it's linking to the account website, but you could add an individual link if you wanted to, or this could be contact information. It could link over to an email, a phone number, something like that. So I'm going to save and choose this one, choose the recipients now. You can send it to all your subscribers or individual segments. If you have segments, this is brand new, so you probably don't yet, but you could create segments. We're going to do that in a second. Or you can add manually if you have maybe a different list and you didn't import them and you have maybe 5 subscribers, you just want to manually import them. You could do that here. I'm just going to say all subscribers for now, and I can review the campaign. You can also send a test email. I highly recommend this just to make sure that when you receive the email, nothing is like missing an image or no text is kind of in a weird layout. Like, it's just good to do that to send that. We can also enable Campaign Booster, which resends your campaign to subscribers who initially don't open it. This should enhance your reach and improve your open rates as well by kind of targeting the unengaged recipients through either email or SMS. So that's really cool. A nice feature that they have. You can also choose SMS Booster as well. And the booster, you could say if they didn't open the email, or if they did and they didn't click the email, something like that. Down here, we can customize some other things. We can schedule it, and then we can say send now. I don't have any email recipients, so I'm just going to save and close. It's something that you could send in the future. Automations, we talked about those, but there are a ton of other ones, and you can build it entirely custom as well. If we say create workflow, tons and tons right here you can see of automations that you can use or kind of customize on your own. So besides just the first 4, lots of them there. Forums would be any way that people can sign up, so you can preview and launch this. This can be basically on the bottom of your website is where most people will put this on Shopify. So that's really easy to set that up. And of course, we have audience over here. This is where you have your lists. So all of our contacts will be here. And we can have segments. Like I said, if you wanted to create a segment, this is probably the better way to do it over here. You can say create segment, and these segments can be kind of really targeted as well. They could be active email subscribers, so people who regularly open your emails and engage with them. They could be people who have made a purchase in the past during a sale. This could be for people who are, it's only on their birthday. Like, you have a lot of really cool things right here that you can automatically target specific subscribers in your email list and kind of make these automated segments over in the segment tab. We can go over to reports, and that'll show you a lot more about what campaigns work, the workflows, the forms, what the open rate is, how many were sent, and stuff like that. And the last thing we want to do here is go over to your account, and you'll see we get 500 free emails, $1 worth of SMS. I usually don't use SMS, and 50 free reviews left. So if we wanted to click on view our plans, like I said, you don't have to get a plan. You could just start off with those 500 free emails, and if you like it, then hey, maybe you can upgrade it in the future, or just maybe stick with that, and that'll work for you for a little while. So if you just say pay monthly, this is good for 500 contacts per month. This will scale automatically, so the price will change when you grow larger, and ideally, this should be earning you a pretty substantial amount of money to much more than pay for the $16 per month that it does cost. So I could say choose this plan. We could say continue, and then just enter your information, and we will be upgraded. Now let's go back to Shopify. All right, now let's talk about some other things we have on Shopify here. Kind of just running through the left side so you know where everything is. At home, this is just going to be your custom dashboard depending on where you're at in your store's life. In the beginning, they're going to show you like things to do next, kind of a checklist here. Hopefully everything I cover in this video kind of goes through that already, so you shouldn't really need to worry about that. But otherwise, in the future, they'll show you some basic little analytics on the top. We can see more in-depth stuff later on the left side. Orders here is going to be showing you, of course, all of the orders that people make. So if you are fulfilling them yourself, then this is where you'll go and you can mark them as fulfilled. You can see new orders. You can, manage all of your inventory through here and stuff like that. And this is going to be something that if you are drop shipping or doing print on demand or using any third-party supplier that integrates with Shopify, that will automatically, you really won't need this. It'll kind of automatically populate depending on what platform you're using, of course. We can go down to products here. Actually, one last thing I want to mention, shipping labels is something you can set up through Shopify as well. If you are doing your own fulfillment, it should make it easier so you don't have to worry about sending the wrong product to the wrong house. You can kind of, streamline your workflow using shipping labels that you can print from Shopify here. We already talked a good bit about products and everything within this category as well as customers, of course, knowing, if you ever have returns or something, you can come back here and check out who the customers were, what they bought, and kind of, manage that as well. Already talked about finances. We talked about analytics a little bit down here. Then marketing is where I got into talking about Omnisend and how to set that up. But before we go into more apps, because this is not really the best way to access the apps, I'll show that in just a second. Let's talk about discounts. If we click on discounts, we already have some that are being made through Omnisend automatically. But if you wanted to make one that shows up, say on the announcement bar on the very top of your website, we can click create discount. And there are 4 different options here. You can have a shipping discount, you can have a certain amount off the order, you can have certain products, or buy one, get one, something like that. So let's just say amount off products. And it doesn't actually matter which one you select. You can customize that right here. It could be a discount code or just an automatic discount whenever they add things to the cart. So if it's buy one, get one, for example, maybe that's an automatic thing that you don't need them to have a code. So I'm just going to go with a code, just say save 10, just to kind of show you guys how this actually works. And this could be a percentage or a fixed amount. I'm just going to go with a fixed amount or a percentage, 10% off. And it could apply to specific collections or specific products. You can browse the collections here and say, maybe it only applies to products under $100. And I could do that right there. But if I decide, no, I want it to be everything, I can click the little X and just get rid of that. Now it applies to everything on the store. You could have a minimum purchase requirement, or I'm just going to say no minimums for this because 10% as a percentage, usually MOQs don't make as much sense there. But if it's a dollar amount and you say $10 off when you spend $100, maybe you need to have a minimum purchase amount of $100. Or you could say minimum quantity of items. If it's like buy 2 items, get $10 off the third, you could set that up using a minimum quantity. I'm just going to say no minimum here. This could be available for all customers or just specific segments, maybe people who have purchased something before. It could be specific customers. You can kind of select them down here. I'm going to leave that set to all. We do have some limitations here as well. So if this is like the first 1,000 people, maybe you're working with an influencer, the first 1,000 people who go through the link get 30% off. You could say a total limit right here of 1,000. So the first 1,000 people who use it get that discount. Or you could say maybe you just limit 1 per customer. You could actually combine them as well if you wanted to kind of do that, but I'm just going to leave them both off. Again, percentage, I'm fine with doing this as much as possible there. Now, combinations, you could say this can be combined with, maybe it can be combined with shipping discounts. Maybe you can save 10%, and then if you reach $50, you can also get free shipping. Maybe that's another option that we don't want them to be mutually exclusive. So I can allow that combination, or you could just select all of them and say it's okay to combine with like everything. Now, that could end up, hurting you if you have some extreme couponers that somehow figure out how to, get far more off their product that you would not like. If you have a lot of coupons, you want to be careful about that. And you can choose the active dates as well, the start date right now, and you could set an end date. Maybe it ends in a week. We can end this, let's just say maybe sometime in a week or 2 weeks, something like that. Save the discount, and now that discount will be there. I actually did add all 3 collections right here, so it's valid for all products on our site. But you could do, individual things if you wanted. Now, going down to apps, this is what the next thing I was mentioning is if you wanted to get other integrations, let's go to all recommended apps. This will be kind of a little app store right here. We can click on Shopify App Store, and there are a ton of apps on Shopify that you can use on your store. So in the beginning, these are ones that are like drop shipping ones. TikTok is incredibly powerful. So I'm just going to click on that. I'm going to add it now. And then we'll come back to that in a second. That brings us to a new tab. I'm just going to click on install. And then we will have TikTok. Now, what I recommend doing before we get into this, because I'll touch on this in a second, but I want to talk about some other apps first. So let's click on this little pin right here to make sure that shows up right there. It's easy to access, so we can always get back to it. So now let's click on apps over here. Let's click on all recommended apps, click on the App Store again, and that'll bring us back here. So there are a lot of different things you can get. Obviously, you can see that right here, but we have some that are going to be good for tracking inventory. Some of them are good for, notifying people about like their shipment, tracking their orders, automating returns, marketing ones as well. For example, you can have different sales channels. If you want to sell on Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest, you can do that. Down here, store design ones. So like a really cool one that I like is called Gem Pages. So this is a more advanced design aspect right here. So again, this video is about you're designing your Shopify store. So I recommend installing Gem Pages. Even though we already made our store, this is something that maybe if you want to make a new page in the future. So let's click on install. And essentially what this does is, let's click on the little pin right here, by the way, so we can always access that app. So this is Gem Pages right here. I'll show the main reason I like it in a second, and that is for replicating either an image or a URL if you liked something about, like for example, if we'll check out this website right here, Allbirds. Maybe I really like this little format right here. I love how they have the blocks for travel, for activity. Maybe I just love this section and I want this on my surfboard website. So the way you can do that is through Gem Pages, but kind of taking a step back and showing how Gem Pages works first. If you click on, so we have Gem Pages right here. Within Gem Pages Builder, if I wanted to create a new page, I can click on Create New Page, and they have a lot of templates right here, tons of them that you can choose from. So I also really like this. You can kind of browse through a ton of different ways that you can get started for your website. I'm going to say start from scratch though, just a blank page, because Gem Pages also has a really cool builder that I personally do like. But on the bottom here, you can see start with generating from a URL or an image. So they use their AI to essentially analyze the website or the image that you input, and they build it that it is compatible with Shopify and functioning on your store. So I'm going to say start from a URL, and I'm just going to go over here. Now this one, I happen to know Allbirds does use Shopify, so it should be easier if it's a website that already uses Shopify, but I could just as well go to like Pepsi's website, and if I just really liked this entire section on Pepsi, I could use this as well. So it doesn't have to be on Shopify. But if you ever wanted to, a little tangent right here, if you ever wanted to know if a website uses Shopify, assuming you're on Google Chrome or if you're on Brave, for example, you can click on the top right and you can go down to more tools and go to developer tools. If you're on like Edge or Firefox or something, you can usually navigate to something very similar, just so this shows up on the right side. Some hotkeys usually get this as well. And then just hit Control F or Command F if you are on a Mac and type in Shopify, and you'll see 59 accounts of Shopify on here, which lets you know that this is indeed a Shopify website. They wouldn't be having anything labeled Shopify on here if they weren't using Shopify. So that's how you know this website does in fact use Shopify. Just a cool little tool that if you ever wanted to browse and figure out, hey, what is this website actually using? Now, another example is, I think Bruvy is how you say this little coffee maker. Maybe I like this website as well. So not just Allbirds, but maybe I like this little section right here. I kind of like the little icons. I like the images. Like maybe this is something that I want to work with here. Let's see. It's a very complicated website as well. So let's copy this one. Let's actually go with this instead of Allbirds. Let's go with this. We'll say start generating from a URL or an image. We can paste the URL and then just say analyze. It'll, give it a couple minutes. It takes some time to analyze this, but it should be building out. It doesn't always work perfectly with every section. Like if there's a lot of animations or like videos, like it probably won't get this right here. You can see the parallax or kind of the animated effect as you scroll. We're not going to get that. But a lot of the other things, like there's a good chance we'll get this layout, pretty well. All right, so this is what it came up with. You can see that we have quite a bit of sections imported, some of them not. We've got this white one right here. This one didn't work, so I'm going to not import that so we don't use our free sections for the month. Down here you can see like this one. This is the one I said would not really work. They just took some images there. So some things worked, some things just came up as colors. It doesn't always work well. This right here could possibly be a starting point, so maybe we want to import that. But you get the idea. The top one, this one right here, this definitely is something that we could use. So you could say generate. It'll generate your website based on the URL that we added, or it could be an image as well. So if you just have a screenshot, and then we will be able to edit this. But regardless of if you did it like this based on another website, or if you just use GemPages templates, or just a blank one and you're building it from scratch, the tools on the left side are still pretty powerful. But you can see right here, so look at the top element right here, the top section. You can see we're able to edit like this. They know this is a button. We can click on that and we can customize the button. We can customize the text. We can customize, actually, it did a pretty decent job of a lot of this website. So maybe this section right here, this is kind of a reasonable situation where you'd say, hey, I like how this looks. Maybe I wanted to replicate this one. Like the top one, I don't really think that's that great. Some of these, like this is just an image. That one's not that great, but maybe this would be useful, right? Maybe this is something we actually would want to import. So this is a familiar, I would say, builder, kind of similar to Shopify, but not quite it's a little different. In some ways, it's easier than Shopify. You can see on the left side, we have our elements. If we click on plus, we can choose if we want to add like text or a button or anything like that. And this is a drag and drop editor. So if I wanted to add, let's just say down here, I wanted to add another image. So let's click on elements. We can go to image and click and drag an image right to where you see that thick blue line. We'll drop it and the image will be placed right there. You can click on upload image then and use one of our images that we have. It'll import that image, of course, and you're able to add a link to that image. You can change the size, the position of it, stuff like that. I'm not going to get too in depth on this, just kind of giving you a quick crash course. I have another video on how to use GemPages. You can check that out if you really want to use this a lot more. But because this is a Shopify design tutorial, I wanted to kind of introduce you to this tool as an alternative for designing your website in case there's anything that you really wanted to do that you just felt you weren't able to do easily, at least within the Shopify builder. You might be able to do it within GemPages over here. You can see we have a ton of different elements we can add. The list just keeps going on, as well as a lot of third-party integrations as well. So, if you use any of these, like maybe Trustu or something like that, those other apps, you can integrate them with GemPages and easily add elements in from there, as well as custom code as well. So kind of one last thing maybe is like image comparison. This is a good example of something that's usually pretty difficult to add. I'm going to add that as a row right here. And this is cool because people can just slide it back and forth and see, their example here is like, what does it look like with your phone case on or off? And so you could have two images that are very similar as long as they're located similarly, like in the exact same spot as the middle of your screen here. This is a cool tool that you could add to your website. And then you can just say publish whenever you're done, and that will be published as a new page on your website. So I'm going to close out of this. I'm not actually going to use that page on my website. But you can see the pages that we do have are showing up down here in pages under the GemPages builder within Shopify. You can also see theme sections. You can see integrations, manage all of those down here. These are the ones that integrate with GemPages, but they're all Shopify apps, so you can find them in apps as well. You can see plans if you need to upgrade your GemPages account. I was just using the free one right there, which does give you one published page and a couple other things as well. Okay, so we have an online store. We have GemPages in case we want more advanced website pages. We have some marketing tools. We have Omnisend set up. We have a lot really configured with this store. This is pretty much at the final stage right now. I recommend going through a lot of other apps and kind of browsing, see which ones make sense for you. But the last one that I would recommend that I want to kind of touch on very briefly, I do have a full in-depth tutorial on this, but this is TikTok ads. If you are running ads and you do want to use TikTok, it integrates very well with Shopify and automatically implements a pixel in there. So you're able to track conversions and optimize. You just tell TikTok, I want to optimize the ads, show them to people essentially that convert the best, or you could say show them to people that click on it the most, or show it to people who add it to the cart the most. Whatever you're trying to optimize for, in most situations, you are optimizing for a completed checkout, an actual sale, and you can do that very easily with TikTok marketing. You can also sell on TikTok using TikTok Shop, and I have a separate video on that. I'll link them, I think it shows up on the top here. I'll add those as cards on this video, so you can check out either one of those. But you just click on Setup Now, and that will walk you through that process. So I think that is more or less the summary of what I wanted to show you in this video to create your own Shopify online store. I really wish you all the best of luck. I'm excited to be one of your many customers on this store, and I hope this video gave you the tools to do everything you needed to build the store, to manage your settings, to set up payments, to set up taxes and shipping and everything else that you might need to have a successful store. So thank you all for watching. Please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.